Our story starts with this guy named Josh, hanging out with a few of his friends, planning how to rob $20 million from this fancy penthouse apartment that belongs to this billionaire old man. The funny part? None of them had ever stolen anything before, not even a pen. So how did they end up pulling off a heist? Well, not too long ago, Josh used to work at a super tall building called the Tower, and this billionaire guy, Arthur Shaw, was a big-time investor on Wall Street. He lived on the top floor of the same tower. Josh trusted him completely, like to the point where he gave him all the retirement money of the staff to invest, so they could have something decent when they retired. One day, Josh gets called into the general manager's office, Mr. Simon, who tells him he needs to meet Charlie Gibbs within half an hour. But guess what? Charlie walks in late, like 20 minutes late. Josh yells at him, "Dude, Mr. Simon wants to see you." But Charlie just says, "Man, I got enough stress already." Turned out Charlie's sister, who was also Josh's wife, was pregnant and about to give birth. Anyway, later on, Mr. Simon tells Josh he has to evict a guy named Victor Fedor, everyone calls him Fedor, from his penthouse. Fedor hadn't paid rent in forever. Back in the day, he was rich, but now, not so much. Josh goes to his place and tells him he has to leave right away. When Fedor asks for more time, Josh gives in and agrees. That night, while Josh is walking with Lester, the building's doorman, Lester tells him he's retiring next year because he invested all his money through Arthur and it's doing great. Then they both notice this car parked outside the building for 2 days straight. Suddenly, a bunch of guys jump out and head inside. Josh panics and thinks they're robbers, so he tells Lester to lock the door fast. They run upstairs and shout black code, basically code for something's really wrong. They check the security cameras, but nothing shows up. Soon after, they find out that those guys kidnapped Arthur Shaw. Josh takes off running like a rocket to save him, but out of nowhere, this woman slams into him hard and knocks him down. At the exact same moment, the car that kidnapped Arthur crashes in the street. Turns out Arthur wasn't being kidnapped. He was escaping from the cops. Agent Claire Denham shows up and explains that Arthur ran a huge Ponzi scheme worth millions, and now all his assets are frozen. Later, Arthur makes bail by putting up his $10 million penthouse as collateral, but he has to stay there under house arrest monitored by the FBI. Josh finds out that Arthur owns a rare 1971 Ferrari Daytona Spider, which he bought for $1 million, but is now worth over $10 million. Before leaving, Arthur asks Josh to bring him breakfast every morning since he's stuck there. Josh talks to Agent Denham again and asks if Arthur's actually innocent, and if everyone will get their money back. She tells him it's better to just accept that Arthur's guilty. Later, Josh sees some cops arresting his childhood friend Slide, who's always been kind of a shady character. Josh decides not to get involved. A little while after that, Lester tries to commit suicide by jumping in front of a train, but a cop saves him last minute. In the hospital, Lester tells Josh that he gave Arthur all his savings, $3,000, months ago to invest. Now he's broke and feels hopeless. Josh storms up to Arthur's penthouse to confront him. Charlie lets him in and says he's just going downstairs to grab a coffee. Once alone, Josh asks Arthur why he took Lester's money when he knew he was broke. Arthur says it was so he could keep living like a king, even though he knew he was crashing financially. Josh grabs a golf club and smashes Arthur's precious Ferrari to pieces, screaming, "Did you even care if Lester was alive or dead?" Then Mr. Simon calls everyone to his office and says that while he doesn't care that Arthur stole money, he can't stand what Josh and the crew did, so he fires all of them. Before leaving, Josh wishes Miss Levenko good luck on her bar exam and says goodbye to everyone else. That same night, Josh meets Claire at a nightclub and tells her he wants to get his friend's money back, the money they worked so hard for and lost because of Arthur. Claire asks if he wants to grab a drink with her, and after a bit, both of them are totally wasted. Out of nowhere, Claire leans in and says, "I shouldn't be telling you this, but Arthur's hiding $20 million somewhere. The FBI hasn't found it yet." When Josh hears that, his mind completely blows up. After Claire leaves, Josh starts thinking hard. The next day, he goes back to the tower to grab an old notebook from his office and sees a bunch of safes along the way. That's when he gets an idea. He calls Charlie, Andre, and Fedor and brings them all to his place. He tells them he thinks Arthur's hiding the $20 million inside the penthouse. Since the FBI can't find the safe, it must be hidden, probably inside one of the walls. Josh's plan? Break into the penthouse and steal the safe itself. He needs help from Charlie, Andre, and Fedor. They all agree right away, except Charlie, who flips out and says, "Wait a minute, none of us have ever stolen anything in our lives. We couldn't even hurt an ant. How are we supposed to pull off stealing $20 million? Then Josh drops a name, Slide, his childhood friend who used to be a crook. They track him down, and it turns out someone paid his bail and got him out of jail. When Slide Slide walks out of the police station, Josh is waiting for him. He picks him up in his car and tries to talk about random stuff, but Slide's super annoyed and just wants to go get some gas. Finally, Josh stops the car and spills the whole plan, robbing $20 million from Arthur. Slide says no way at first because none of them have any real experience. He says this kind of job can blow up at any second, and amateurs can't handle that. But Josh convinces him by saying, "We're not asking you to do it for us. We're asking you to teach us." So Slide gives them a test. Go to the mall and each steal one thing without getting caught. They were all scared, but somehow they pulled it off. After that, Slide agrees to help them plan the full heist. Back at Josh's house, they start figuring out how to sneak into the tower without being seen on camera or caught by security. Just as they're planning how to get into the penthouse, Agent Claire knocks on the door. Everyone panics and hides in different places. Claire tells Josh that Arthur's trial is coming up soon and he might walk free. Also, Arthur is suing Josh for smashing his Ferrari. If Josh messes with him again, he could end up in trouble. So Josh goes to apologize to Arthur just to keep things cool and get access to the penthouse. On their way back, Claire shows Josh the video of him smashing the Ferrari. She says, "Honestly, I kinda enjoyed watching that." Then she asks if he wants to go out Saturday night. Josh says yes, smiling big. When Josh gets back home, his crew is mad at him for hanging out with Claire. But after calming things down, they get back to work. Slide warns them, opening that safe will be tough. He's never opened a vault like that before. Suddenly, Josh has an idea and goes to talk to Odessa, a maintenance worker in the building, who knows everything about the tower, including the safe. She tells him it has multiple complex locks and would take her about 15 minutes to crack open. Meanwhile, the next morning, Josh and Andre are watching the tower from afar and see Charlie walking inside. Turns out Mr. Simon gave Charlie his job back, so Charlie decides he can't join the heist anymore. He needs the paycheck for his wife and baby on the way. On top of that, Claire calls Josh and tells him Arthur changed the trial date to Thanksgiving, and he's still suing Josh. That means Josh could get arrested this week. So on Thanksgiving Day, Josh tells Andre that Charlie's wife is out of town visiting her aunt by train that day. He says, "Go steal her phone." Meanwhile, Charlie's at the tower giving orders to staff. Andre goes and steals Charlie's wife's phone, and not long after, he comes back with it. At the same time, Josh sees Slide dressed in a suit, walking toward the tower. Fedor says, "Wait, that wasn't part of the plan." Josh starts thinking Slide might be betraying them and trying to steal all the money himself. Back at the tower, Charlie suddenly gets a message from his wife's phone saying their baby's about to be born, so he takes off running. That's when Josh and the crew start the heist. They sneak into the tower without anyone noticing. Meanwhile, Slide is inside Mr. Simon's office wearing a suit, pretending he's from the bank checking on repairs for Fedor's apartment. At the same time, Odessa distracts everyone by bringing birthday cake for one of the FBI agents guarding Arthur's penthouse. The agent has a chocolate allergy, so she just knocks him out instead. Slide heads to the elevator, but Josh and the others lock him inside it. Slide tries to escape through the top panel, crawling up the shaft. Josh and the team finally reach the penthouse. They disable all the cameras and start searching for the safe. Josh finds a wall that sounds hollow and starts smashing it open. But out of nowhere, Slide shows up behind him with a gun. Before Slide can do anything, Odessa points her own gun at his head. Fedor grabs the chance and wrestles the gun away. Odessa starts working on opening the safe while Claire realizes something's wrong at court. The judge is gone and the place is closed. She grabs Arthur and rushes back to the tower. Back at the tower, Charlie figures out they lied to him. His wife wasn't in the hospital, so he storms to the control room and asks if Josh went into the penthouse. No one saw him, but he knows something's up. Inside the penthouse, Odessa finally opens the safe. But guess what? It's completely empty. Everyone's shocked. Slide tries to grab his gun again, but accidentally fires a shot that hits the Ferrari. Josh notices a piece of paint flying off and sees the car is made of solid gold. Fedor calculates its value, around $45 million. Now they decide to steal the car instead, but how to get it out? Josh gets an idea. Use the building's big crane used for window cleaning. Andre lowers the crane, and they hook up the Ferrari to it. They slowly start lowering the car down the side of the building. Down below, the FBI agent guarding the penthouse wakes up and starts pounding on the door. Inside, Josh and Slide quickly rappel down using the crane cables. Just as they're getting close to the bottom, Fedor almost slips and falls, but Josh catches him at the last second. Meanwhile, the FBI car gets stuck in traffic. A cop tells them to go over the bridge. So Josh and Slide hook the Ferrari back up and pull it onto the roof. Then Charlie shows up, super angry at Josh for risking his life over a car. But when Josh tells him it's actually worth $45 million, Charlie changes his mind and joins the plan. They figure out how to get the car into the elevator. Andre stops the elevator right above them so they can load the car onto the roof. Josh searches for the keys and finds his old notebook, which also contains Arthur's black book full of shady deals. He takes it with him. Back at the tower, Claire and the FBI rush inside just as the elevator is going up. Andre loses control of the elevator, and it starts dropping fast. It stops suddenly and the FBI gets on. Then the elevator rockets back up. Josh is terrified the car will crash into the top of the elevator shaft before they reach the penthouse. He asks Slide where he parked the delivery truck. Josh calls Lester and tells him to get ready. They need to get the car out no matter what. When Claire and the FBI reach the penthouse, they find the Ferrari gone. Claire checks the security footage and sees the delivery truck speeding away. She realizes Arthur must have hidden info about the safe from the FBI, which means his bail is void, and he's going back to jail. Back on the roof, Josh and the crew lower the car into the waiting truck, but then the cops chase them. Lester drives like crazy through traffic until he turns into a side street, and bam, the cops surround him. When they open the truck, it's empty. Lester plays dumb. What car? I was just test driving this truck. Later, the FBI arrests Josh and his whole crew, along with Arthur. Arthur tells them smugly, "I'll be back in my penthouse in 2 days. You guys are gonna rot in prison for years." Josh smiles and says, "Maybe we'll do a few years. But you, Arthur, you're gonna get torn apart in prison." Then Josh reveals he found Arthur's black book, proof of all his crimes. Arthur freaks out and offers Josh 10 times the car's value, $450 million. But Andre reminds him tipping is strictly forbidden at the tower. In the end, Miss Levenko, who passed her bar exam 3 days ago, shows up as their lawyer. She hands the black book to the FBI and demands Josh and the crew be released immediately. The FBI agrees, but Josh still has to serve 2 years in prison. He accepts. Back at the tower, Slide, Andre, and Fedor lift up the pool cover and reveal the gold Ferrari hidden underwater in the pool. Charlie's there with his wife and their new baby girl, who's adorable. Arthur ends up sentenced to life in prison. Josh serves his 2 years, and when he gets out, every hotel employee receives a box at their door. Inside, pieces of the golden Ferrari, meaning they all got their share. And in the final scene, Josh is still cracking jokes with that same cheeky smile. And here our story ends. I hope you liked the video. Goodbye.